It is officially summer here in beautiful Orlando, Florida, which means while we're not dodging the rainstorms or the hurricanes, we're going to go outside and enjoy some fresh air. And what you're looking at today is a recording that I did with my seated electric scooter. And I wanted to talk about the culture behind this and some tips and tricks that I have learned along the way. I am relatively new to the scene. However, I've put in a significant amount of miles over the last month or so, and I feel like I have enough modifications done to my bike and enough lessons learned that I think it's time to try to give back to a hobby that has really taken my heart and taken my free time by storm. Before I get into today's video, if you guys like the content, please consider subscribing. While I am primarily a video game channel, I will be doing lots of other fun content, and I will start a playlist for all of the electric scooter and electric bike mods and videos that I have. So if you're a fan of this kind of content, check out that playlist. You might find something you enjoy. So why electric scooters? Well, I have an electric bike already. My philosophy is probably different than most people's. I'm not really looking to do any exercise. I'm just looking to get some fresh air. You may or not know, I also have a Bronco. I like to call it wind therapy or being an air junkie. But basically, I like the feeling of open air around me. I like the sun on my skin. I like being exposed to nature, kind of away from technology, at least in the terms of not a controller in my hand or a phone in my face. I like to just kind of enjoy the world around me. And as fun as it is going out in my Bronco and doing some very, very light off-roading, I realize I am a largely urban environment and there are lots and lots of dedicated sidewalks and bike lanes for me to enjoy. And that's what ultimately drove me into getting into the kind of electric scene. Now, unfortunately, like I said, for me, I'm a little bit different. I'm not really interested in the exercise part of it. I just wanted to have that freedom. So I ultimately went with an electric seated scooter. Now, you could also do all of these things I'm about to talk about with a bicycle, just a regular bicycle, or an electric bicycle, or a standing electric scooter. I'm not somebody who's, by the way, looking to go 70 miles an hour, looking to modify this thing to go faster. I understand the limitations and the rules of at least what Orlando is in terms of what speed that I can be. On this particular configuration with a seated, non-pedal assist vehicle, I can't exceed 20 miles an hour if I want to be legal, and I want to be legal. I'm not looking to make any kind of trouble or anything. Most of the video you see here, I am not going full throttle, but this thing caps out at about 21 miles an hour, which is plenty fast. And normally I'm probably in the 10 to 15 mile an hour range unless it's a long stretch of road that I'm very familiar with, where I just kind of open it up a little bit and get that quick blast of air. Now, for me, I mostly kind of try to stay in residential areas, although if there are some dedicated bike trails like that run basically through downtown Orlando, I'll always go take those for a spin as well. And I think you're going to get a little mix of that today as I kind of zigzag in and out around the Lake Como, Lake Davis area, going down towards downtown and then looping back towards the Executive Airport Trail. And if you don't live in Orlando, you have no idea what I'm talking about, but basically nice, quiet community areas with lots of residential, lots of open, beautiful roads to explore, and beautiful sidewalks and terrain to enjoy. So enjoy the video while I kind of talk about some things to think about. So if you're looking to get into this hobby, really all you need is a bike, right? I mean, obviously I'm looking for something a little different than everybody else. I'm more in a comfort setting, but you want to make sure that you get something that is comfortable. And there are a lot of different bike seats out there and a lot of different ride heights and different suspensions and fat tires. There's really no good silver bullet answer on what you need in order to be successful. But I would caution you to say that try before you buy. It's very, very easy to fall into a lot of these online stores, an Amazon store, or like a Best Buy or something that has tons of these kind of knockoff brands, which actually that's what I'm riding on now. The brand I am riding on you've never heard of. It's just an Amazon kind of exclusive directly from China. It works great. I did my research. I knew it's what I wanted, so it worked for me. But your mileage may vary in terms of seat comfort and form factor. So do a little bit of research in how you sit, and do a little bit of research in your posture and in the ride height and all these kind of things, and make sure that you are comfortable with what you're getting into. Because if you're like me, you're going out for long runs at a time. I usually go anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. That's about how long my battery lasts before I really need to bring it back home to recharge. During which time I zigzag in and out. I do take some breaks. I've gotten into journaling, which I'll talk about in a little bit here. So I do take some regular breaks, water breaks, that kind of thing. But keep in mind that you're going to be on this for a while. So comfort is the most important thing. Do not get swept up in the culture of top speed and sleek, stylish design. Some of the most aggressive looking bikes that I have demoed, like Ghost Cat, for example, I love them. But boy, oh boy, some of them are just not comfortable. So don't just fall in love with your favorite content creator and feel like you need to buy some super fancy thing in order to be successful. That is not true at all. You can absolutely find something that works for your body type, and no two bodies are the same. So please be mindful of that. Now, once you got the bike, what do you need to be successful? Well, the most important thing to remember is everybody out there is trying to murder you. And I say that with a smile on my face, but I absolutely mean it. You are going to be the weakest person on the road when you are on a bicycle. You're going to be surrounded by very, very foolish drivers who aren't paying attention, who are on their cell phones, who are playing with their radio, who are doing everything other than paying attention to you. You're going to be surrounded by pedestrians with dogs that typically aren't on leashes. You're going to be surrounded by roads that aren't smooth and sidewalks that are in need of repair. And ultimately, it is on you to maintain your safety and your visibility. Keep your head on a swivel. Be smart. Invest in safety gear. At a minimum, you need a helmet. Recommend a multi-impact protection system helmet, a MIPS helmet. Don't worry about how it looks. Just make sure it's comfortable and it keeps you safe in a wreck. I personally use gloves as well. I do have a pair of knee pads, which I don't use as much anymore. I recommend wearing jeans and closed-toed shoes. And just be cognizant of, if you do fall and you are going a fast speed, you're going to tear yourself up. So you may want to consider wearing flannel or long sleeves. At a minimum, like I said, a helmet, but I think gloves will probably protect most of, at least your hands, maybe not your elbows if you do spill. I have not yet completely fallen off. If you were paying attention at the beginning of this video, I was going over some new terrain, and the sidewalk was in massive, massive disrepair. And rather than go handlebar over, I ditched in. I kind of dug into the grass. I didn't lose the bike, but I almost did, and that's not uncommon. It's not uncommon when you're exploring new areas. But just be mindful of the safety. Doesn't matter how you look. Doesn't matter if it's cool looking or not. Safety first. I also recommend looking into side view mirrors. If your bicycle has a LED light, I recommend leaving it on. Wear light-colored clothing if you're going out, especially at night. And just be mindful, like I said, that you are always going to have to be way more defensive than you've ever been in anything else, especially if you start getting into high speeds, anywhere like over 20 miles an hour. Things happen very, very quickly, and there's really no impact for you. You are going to go over the handlebars. You are going to get hurt. So be cognizant of that, and please be safe. That's the number one thing I can totally say. Now, you got your bike, you got your safety gear, you're getting ready to go out and have fun. Okay, so what do you need to be mindful of? Well, first and foremost, hydration. It is very, very important to drink. Now, I am somebody who, like I said, I am not pedaling. I am on a scooter. I have highway pegs. I call them ball blowers. My legs are splayed out. I have just air blowing on me. I am doing zero physical exertion, with the exception of, I guess, using my wrist to kind of turn the throttle. But short of that, I am just cruising, and I am just having an absolute blast. I am not even doing anything physical. When I recorded this video, it was 93 degrees outside. Let me tell you, and it was like 9:30 in the morning. It was blazing hot. and I did stop quite a few times to drink water. I was completely soaked when I got home. Now, I could only imagine if I was actually pedaling how much more exhausted I would be. So please take water with you, take regular breaks, find places in the shade to cool off, collect yourself, relax. That's kind of why I got into journaling, because it was fine. It was nice to go find a nice place to sit by like a lake or like a quiet park bench to sit down and just collect my thoughts. I find it very, very therapeutic personally. If that's not your speed, that's fine. You have your phone, you want to look on Reddit or, listen to some music or whatever, that's fun too. On the topic of music, I do use a pair of the Shokz Open Ear Pros. I don't recommend using noise canceling headphones. Number one, they're going to be hard to wear with your helmet, and I'm even talking about the ear pods too. I do recommend being able to hear around you. It is important. You're going to hear cars coming up on you. You're going to hear other bicyclists coming up on you. You're going to have to be kind of cognizant of what you're hearing around you, because you don't want to be too hyper focused on exactly just the music and everything in front of you. Like I said, keep in mind, everybody is out to murder you. It is on you to be cognizant of your surroundings. So that's what I like to jam out to, is listen to some music, stop and drink some water, regular intervals. I think that's important. And then in terms of, while you're out there driving around having fun, keep in mind that if you are on an electric bike, or in my case, a solely electric vehicle, be cognizant of the charge. I have a cell phone holder. Obviously, I'm using it at this point to record video. Typically, I have a map open so I can kind of keep my situational awareness of kind of where I'm going. But it's also important to track how many miles you've gone. You can lose track of time very, very quickly. And remember, everywhere you go, you have to backtrack to get back home. Unfortunately, the other day, while I was out riding around, I got a little too wound up. I was checking out some parks in the far side of downtown Orlando, and I ran out of gas, and I had to walk home. It took me a very, very long time. I guess I probably could have called a friend. None of them were around that had like a vehicle or whatever, but I didn't have pedals, so I was stuck. So especially if you're in my situation of a seated moped / scooter, sidewalk scooter, electric scooter, whatever, that doesn't have pedals, keep in mind you're going to have to find a way home. So be cognizant of that. So I recommend charging it fully before you go. I know there's a lot of rumors out there about, depending on what kind of battery you have, it's more important to cycle the battery up or down, or let it completely bleed dry versus keeping it topped off. I keep it topped off. I didn't this last time, and I learned a valuable lesson. I will not let that happen again, so be cognizant of that as well. So we talked about safety. We talked about, finding a bike that feels good for you, or a ride that feels good for you. Something else to consider when you're out going and doing some adventures, having your phone and your map and being able to communicate to others just in case you take a spill or just in case you get lost or whatever. Something else to be cognizant of is, again, not only is everybody trying to murder you, but a lot of roads and such are not always in the best of shape. And a lot of these electric bikes, unfortunately, skimp out on good performance shocks and performance brakes. And it's very, very important for you to make sure before you go out that your ride is in good repair. So check your front brakes, check your rear brakes. They do need to be adjusted at regular intervals. Obviously, if you're braking a lot, you will actually start to burn out your brakes. But more than that, make sure everything is in good repair. Make sure there's no rubbing or any kind of vibration or anything that's going to impede the free motion of the wheel. I can't tell you the number of times, especially with this electric bike, because it was kind of a knockoff one, but I knew what I was getting into, how many times I had to go back and actually tweak the whole build of it, because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't getting any rubbing. And unfortunately, I would be out riding and it felt like I was towing something. I couldn't coast at all. Now, the motor will overpower anything. It really, really will. Not that it's gonna, sound the best, but, if you have some of your brakes are rubbing, or if you have, the fender is rubbing the tire, it will power through, but you are going to pay the price in terms of unnecessary repair and unnecessary drain on your vehicle. So be mindful of that as well, that it's on you to make sure that everything is put together. And a lot of these bikes and everything do need to be assembled. There is some level of assembly required. And I have had to kind of learn very quickly some basic mechanical things, like how to adjust my brakes and how to tighten down a bolt without tightening it too much, and how to adjust things and tie wrap things down to make sure that there was no rubbing or loose wires or any kind of cables or anything. Especially with electric bikes, there's a lot of assembly that goes into this. There are a lot of loose things that, if not in, especially if you're going at a high speed for a long time. This only goes 20, but I know that street legal pedal assist is 28 miles, at least here in Florida. 20 miles an hour, you got a loose wire that's kind of rubbing up against your tire or a loose something. You're going to burn that out very, very quickly, and you may not necessarily want to be doing that. You're going to cause some significant damage, and unless you want to start soldering stuff, I know they put plastic wrap about everything, but let me tell you, I had a wire rub, and after just about an hour, I almost completely smoked through the wire. So be mindful of that as well. Tie wrap everything down, make sure everything is secure, and I think you'll be in a lot better shape. And do this every time before you go. Even if you're like me and you're going around just about every night now, just take the minute, just look through everything, check all the wires, wiggle on the handlebars, check the front brake, the rear brake, check your lights, check your horn, your bells, your seats, your tire pressure, anything you need to make sure you're in good shape. This is not like a car in the sense that a car has a lot more sensors and controls that basically are designed to allow you to be, kind of carefree, right? Like, my car will beep at me when it's low fuel, when the battery's low, when the tire pressure's low. This will not do that, and especially if you buy kind of these cheap knockoff bikes, or even if you buy the more professional ones, there are still a lot of maintenance things that you need to be mindful of. So I wanted to just spend some time talking about all these things because they are important. And unfortunately, I see far too many videos that are just focused on this sheer speed and let's tweak the operating system to jailbreak it to go faster than we're supposed to go, and doing burnouts and donuts and wheelies and stuff. Like, that's a really good way to burn out your ride very quickly. But more importantly than that, that is not incumbent of like your daily operation. People who are tweaking their motors to go faster than they should, or downloading these hacks, or changing the kind of design of the bike, they're gonna pay for it later on. And if you're into it, and if it's a hobby for you, and it's something you see yourself investing time and money in, there's a very good chance that your investment was something that you carefully thought of, and you're gonna want to enjoy it. I mean, this bike with shipping and everything was about $500, which is on the lower tier actually for a seated electric scooter. However, I'm taking good care of it, and I think it's going to last me a very long time. But it's not something where I'm trying to like do ramps and flips and burnouts and all that kind of stuff. So I think leave that for the extremists on YouTube who want to show off something to get the quick clicks. This video and this whole series and some of the stuff I'll be talking about as I continue my journey through this, I think is designed more for people who look at it as a true hobby, as somebody who really enjoys it and wants to have fun with it. And as time goes on, I'm going to learn more. I'm going to come back. I'm going to continue to update this and talk about things that I like and don't like, and some of the technology and some of the skills that I've learned over the time that make my ride more enjoyable, and just doing my part to try to give back to the hobby because it is so fun and because it means so much to me, and it has grown on me quite a bit. So I think that's as good a place as any to wrap up. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, again, I will be doing dedicated playlists on this, so consider subscribing to the channel for other content and other things that I will be adding later on. I'm going to be doing some reviews on some various seats that I've tried. I want to talk a little bit more about finding good fitting gloves, helmets, some of the safety stuff, and some of the other features there. But for now, that'll wrap up the video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Bye-bye.